Robert Pattinson as Batman and not working out during coronavirus. If you're going to be playing Batman, you better be putting your own fitness front of mind, especially when you're being paid millions of dollars for a movie role. Not taking the role serious when you take a look at the past, four actors who have played it, going back to five actors, even going all the way back to Michael Keaton in Batman and Batman Returns. All of these actors, including George Clooney, worked out to get ready for the role. There's a little bit of, social pressure behind playing a superhero. You gotta look the part. You're a freaking superhero. Look the part, act the part. It's just like you're not going to see someone who's anorexic go out and play Fat Albert. You got to consider what is it, especially the social climate of things. If you are an actor getting ready for a role and the role is that of a superhero, you prepare yourself to be playing that superhero. You don't go, oh, I don't want to set a bad precedent. The bad precedent you're setting is not taking your job serious. So, with things now reopening, how to restart a fitness regime. So the easiest way to restart a fitness regime, now that a lot of places in the U.S. and other places throughout the world, they're starting to reopen fitness facilities, gyms, is start where you were, but take 30% of the load off. So say you were doing 200 pounds on your squats, start at 140 pounds. Just for the first couple times going in. Because after this 2, 3, 4 month layoff you may have been on, where you've been relegated to only body weight or nothing at all for some people, because you've just kind of shut yourself in and just kind of shut the world off for the past couple of months until this whole thing has passed, you got to think your body has now adapted to that. So the first few times that you get back in the gym, the delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS, are going to be vicious. Think back to the first time you ever got into the gym. The DOMS after that first session probably left you not wanting to even get out of bed, or when you sat down to go to the bathroom, you didn't want to get back up. You tried to get back up, and in some cases you may not have even gotten up. So keep that in mind. Are you trying to get back into where you were right away? You're not going to unless you have had a home gym the entire time. So whatever you were doing before, take 30% of the load off initially and work your way back up. It's going to come back faster than you think. If you were preparing for a powerlifting meet, you might have a little bit more of a fall off. But still, your nervous system has a little bit of rebound or memory to it. You will come back a lot faster than you think you will. And if it's your general overall fitness, best thing you can do right now, get your ass outside. It's spring in the northern hemisphere now. Most places by this point don't have snow. It's positive temperatures, might be double digits where you are. If you're in the southwest U.S., you're looking at 40 degrees Celsius. For you Americans, you're looking at 100 to up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit in places like Arizona right now. Will university sports happen in the fall, and how to prepare for them? That's hard to tell. I think it's going to depend on where you are, the jurisdiction you are. In some places, there might not be any fans for, say in the U.S., the NCAA football might not have fans for a few games or the whole season in some places. Will that really be crap to watch on TV? Will it be a crap experience for a lot of the athletes who are going into their senior year, for example? And just as a good example, Louisiana State University and Alabama football game at Baton Rouge, LSU last year, had something like 110,000 people at the game. Now you take that and now you go to 0 fans in the game. It's a whole different atmosphere. But that all depends on, like I said, local jurisdictions. Do I believe that fall sports will happen? Yes. Do I think there's going to be some form of restrictions on movement or some form of restrictions on types of sports? There might be. Contact sports might be taken out. Individual sports that don't involve contact should have no problem going ahead. Like, for example, Ontario University Athletics has a golf season. There is no reason whatsoever that they can't do that season and have their OUA championship. Now, a sport like football, you might have a little bit more restrictions. The season may start later and go on longer. In places like here in Canada, that's going to be really crappy for the end of the season. when for the most part it's already negative temperatures, freezing temperatures. There's snow on the ground depending on where the national championship is played. So if you're now extending the season further, you might have to look at finding an indoor venue to complete the season. It might require neutral fields. For example, like if you're from, just thinking, if you're from University of Calgary, where by the time the Vanier Cup comes around, it's pretty damn cold in Calgary. The Grey Cup is usually played the same weekend. That's Canada's version of the Super Bowl. It's nowhere near as big, but it's still our big championship for our football league. And it's brutally cold in Alberta at that time of year. But at the same time, there are places around the country where there are indoor facilities where you could potentially hold games. Sports like soccer, all you need is a bubble and a full field, and you can still play the sport. It comes down to, will they allow the sport to actually happen? Will they allow fans? My personal perspective is by the time that comes around, August, September, October, November, we may just need to massage the season a little bit. You may need to just push back the start of the season, maybe shorten the season a game or two to take a weekend off. You might have to, throughout the season, remove that bye week in some sports and speed up the season. So there's going to be a lot of things going on in that regard. I hope university sports, both Canada and the US, both go on as planned. And I hope that fans are at the games. That's sport. As much as some people want to be cynical and say sports are not important, sports are damn well important. Go back 3,000 years in history. Sports have been around since society has been around. They've been a place where you can rally behind, where you can have an esprit de corps, you can have the local community come together. There's a lot of local businesses that rely on sports as well. Sports bars, merchandise sales, different types of shops all rely directly and indirectly on sports. Banquet systems, catering companies. If you're in a much larger cities with professional sports franchises, like just for example going Green Bay, Wisconsin, the Green Bay Packers are a major piece of that community. They're huge for bringing in business to the city. They're also a rallying point, not just for the city itself, but for the communities around it. Sport brings communities together better than just about anything else other than maybe food. But again, the food industry relies on the sports industry in many aspects. Concession sales, think about all the beer sales at a single NFL football game. You got 60,000 people, $12 a beer, say 30% of the stands has a beer. You're still looking at about 17 to 20,000 people with a beer. Do the math on that across 8 games. That's a fair amount of sales, and the profit margin on that is going to be quite high. Now, how to prepare for fall sports. Right now, you most likely don't have access to a gym. So, what can you do? You could get your ass doing some bodyweight exercises, squats, push-ups, lunges, sprints. You can also get outside once again. Parks are now open in just about everywhere in the world. Ontario has now opened up all provincial parks, and city parks are now open in Ottawa, I know. I believe Toronto's opening up either this weekend or early next week. So just about everywhere is opening up city parks and other parks. So you can still go find a hill, go do some runs on a track, whether it's your old high school track, using a soccer field, a football field, wide open spaces, using your street. You can still get your fitness level up for your sport. Is it going to be a little harder for you mentally to do it? Yes. Will you necessarily have someone driving you and pushing you to do it? Probably not. Something that I am doing until coronavirus pandemic lockdowns or shutdowns are over is for local athletes here in Ottawa who want to start getting themselves in shape for potential seasons during the summer that may still happen and you've fallen off, or for your fall varsity seasons, is I'm going to be holding some running fitness sessions. So direct message me if that's something that you're trying to start getting serious about right now. The summer goes by a lot faster than you think. I typically run a varsity summer program, and we've usually started last week, and it's usually 12 to 14 weeks depending on when training camps start. And honestly, those weeks, they flash by that fast. So those of you in Ottawa or varsity athletes around the Ottawa area who want to get yourselves prepared for your sport, send me a message and we can start getting you taken care of right now. And then also, depending on when gyms can open, I'm going to try to still run the varsity program for the varsity athletes. Other than that, those are the easiest ways that you can start to get prepared for it right now. You might have to get a little bit more creative and intuitive in what you're doing. But don't think that just because you can't necessarily go to the gym, there's no way you can prepare to get ready for your sport. The vast majority of you have never actually trained properly in the gym to begin with, but yet you've managed to get yourself ready for your sport every fall. Are you at the highest level you can be? No. But are you ready to still compete to a certain extent? Yes. So you owe it to your teammates, your coach, and yourself to get yourself ready starting before coronavirus happened. But if you took the past few months off, you still have plenty of time. So get yourself in the mindset of, season's still going to happen. I got to be ready for training camp. Time to get the work in. If you want help doing so, send me a message. Any way I can help you, let me know. Alright, thank you for watching right to the end of this video. If you'd like to see more content by me, click the subscribe button here. And for another YouTube suggested video by me, click here. And if you liked what you saw today, don't forget, click the little like button below. Until next time, Coach Tony, Risling Podium Performance.